Good morning children. Today we are going to see the revision of Civics lesson 1, the Indian Constitution. Okay. See children, as an Indian citizen we should learn about the Indian Constitution, right? Actually already we have seen this chapter, but now we will revise this chapter again. Okay. See, let me ask you a question. What is a constitution? A constitution is a written document containing certain rules of governing a sovereign state, right? See here, governing means ruling, and a sovereign state, independent state here refers to country or nation. Actually, for example, India is a sovereign nation, right? So, a constitution is a written document containing certain rules. It has some rules and principles of governing a sovereign state, so that a country is governed on the basis of some rules and principles, right? So this written document is called constitution. So a constitution is a written document containing certain rules of governing a sovereign state, how to be governed. Okay. See, in large societies in which different communities of people live together. Yes, it's right. Because if we take India as an example, India is called land of unity in diversity, right? India is a diverse land, right? Why? Because India consists of various religion people and all of them live together happily in the land of India. Isn't it? Though they have different religion, they live together, right? So that these rules are formulated through consensus. This consensus means agreement, common agreement. And modern countries, this consensus is usually available in written form. See children, simply we can say each country is made up of different kind of communities. Different kind of communities. Right? We can see in India also, right? So, in this situation, these written rules and principles are formulated through how? Consensus, common agreement. Consensus is an agreement of all the people on an issue. Like that, with the consensus, generally the consensus is available in written form. So, a constitution is a written document containing certain rules of governing a sovereign state with the consensus. Okay, fine. So, simply we can say constitution is nothing but a written document where you have all the rules for the way this country should be governed. Okay, fine. And also the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. Okay, which is the supreme law of India? The Indian Constitution. Okay, so the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. Okay, why? Because the entire society in India is run by rules framed within the Constitution, so that the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. Why? Because the entire society in India is run by rules framed within the Constitution. Okay, so that the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. Okay, fine. Now we will see about the Constituent Assembly and its important leaders. Okay, fine. Let me ask you a question, because we have already seen this content. Okay, in which year the Indian National Congress made the demand for a Constituent Assembly? In the year 1934, right? For what purpose did the Indian National Congress demand for a Constituent Assembly to draft a constitution, right? To draft a constitution, the Indian National Congress made the demand for a Constituent Assembly in the year 1934. Got it? Yes. Then, this was done not by one person. The drafting constitution was done not by one person, but by a group of around 300 people who became members of the Constituent Assembly in 1946 and who met periodically for the next 3 years to write India's constitution. Okay. Then the Constituent Assembly consisted of members of different political parties. For example, Indian National Congress, Muslim League. Okay. Then representatives of the minorities and the weaker sections of the society and legal experts. Okay. So, the assembly consisted of members of different political parties, representatives of the minorities like Muslim and Christians, like other communities, and the weaker sections of the society, for example, Dalit and scheduled caste. Okay, so the weaker sections of the society and legal experts, lawyers, advocates. So the assembly consisted of members of different political parties, representatives of the minorities and the weaker sections of the society and legal experts. Okay. So the assembly first met on 9th December 1946 and completed its drafting work on 26th November 1949. So the constitution framed by the assembly, the constitution framed by whom? The constitution framed by the Constituent Assembly came into force on 26 January 1950. So in which year the constitution came into force? On 26 January 1950. Got it? So that we celebrate every year January 26th as the Republic Day. Right? Do you remember, children? Which is the longest written constitution in the whole world? The Indian Constitution. Right? Why? Because it has more than 900 pages long and originally consisting of 395 articles and 8 schedules. But now there are approximately around 445 articles and 12 schedules. So, the Indian Constitution is the longest written constitution in the whole world. Okay. Now, let us see about some important leaders of the Constituent Assembly. Right. Who is known as the father of the Indian Constitution? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Right? Then, who was the chairman of drafting committee of Constituent Assembly? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly. Okay. And who was the prominent member of the Constituent Assembly? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And he is also known as the Iron Man of India, right? Then after India got independence, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel became the Deputy Prime Minister of India, right? Then, who was the President of the Constituent Assembly? Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad, right? Then, Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first President of the independent India, right? Then, Sri Jagjeevan Ram became the Labour Minister of India after India got independence. Okay. And Sri J. Ramdas Dalat Ram became the Minister of Food and Agriculture. Then Rajkumari Amrit Kaur became the Health Minister. Then Dr. John Mathai became the Finance Minister of independent India. Okay. See, children, the Indian Constitution is the supreme document of our country, right? Since it draws its authority from the people have the ultimate power. How? Because people only will elect their leaders. People have rights to choose their leaders, right? because India is a democratic country. Okay, what is democracy? Democracy is a form of government in which we choose our leaders so that they can exercise power responsibly on our behalf. On behalf of us, they will exercise power, right? So, democracy is a form of government in which we choose our leaders so that they can exercise power responsibly on our behalf. Okay, so here in a democratic country, people have the ultimate power. Okay, then let me tell you about the preamble of Indian Constitution. See, India's Constitution begins with an introduction called the preamble. The preamble states the ideals that the nation should follow. Okay, so the preamble is the preface about the Constitution. See children, already we have seen what is a Constitution, right? A Constitution is a written document consisting of basic rules or principles according to which the people of a country are governed, right? So that how the Constitution plays an important role in a state, how the Constitution plays a vital role in a state. Actually, it is more crucial in democratic societies. See, for following are some of the reasons why we need a constitution. First, let us see, the constitution states the ideas that form the basis of the kind of country its people aspire to live in. Means, the constitution of a country tells its citizens what kind of society they live in and what values their society upholds. And a constitution helps serve as a set of rules and principles that all persons in a country can agree upon as the basis of the way in which they want the country to be governed. See children? So, simply we can say the constitution decides how will be the nature of the society in a country. See, based on the rules, you will know how strict, how liberal or respectable a society is, okay? See, for example, in India, we have so much of rights, right? Because that is the way our constitution is written. So, our constitution has given us enormous rights, right? But if you go to some other place, especially towards the Middle East and all, their rules are so strict, right? So, the constitution decides what kind of society or the nature of the society will be there. So, children, already I have told you, each country is made up of different kind of communities, right? Even our country has our different communities, right? See, people of every community, they have their own beliefs, they have their own culture, they have their own festivals, and they have their own food habits, right? So, the constitution is written in such a way that people from all communities are protected. Here, all communities are protected because when the constitution was written, people from all communities participated and agreed upon it. Already we have seen, right? So, the constitution tells the way the people want themselves to be governed. So, the constitution decides what kind of society, the nature of the society will be there, as well as the constitution tells the way the people want themselves to be governed. What the people want themselves to be governed. Okay. So, let me give you an example. For example, in Nepal, if we take in Nepal, recently in Nepal, In the year 2007, Nepal adopted an interim constitution. See, Nepal was a monarchy. Monarchy means king or queen will rule the country, right? So, what do you understand by monarchy? Monarchy is a form of government in which final authority rested with the king. But what is democracy? Democracy is a form of government in which we choose our leaders so that they can exercise power responsibly on our behalf. But what do you understand by monarchy? Monarchy is a form of government in which final authority rested with the king. Who will have the final authority? Or who will take the final decision? The king. So monarchy is a form of government in which final authority rested with the king. It is known as monarchy. But in democracy, it is a form of government in which we choose our leaders. People will elect their leaders so that they can exercise power responsibly on our behalf. Okay. So here in Nepal, all powers left there with the king. But at one point of time, people did not agree. They got really agitated, frustrated. So, they started fighting against the kingdom and their democracy. So, at last, democracy was established in the year 2005. So, people of Nepal adopted a new constitution in 2015. They said that this is how we want ourselves to be governed. This is what we want. We want ourselves to be governed. Now, are you understanding the power of constitution, children? Yes, democracy is a way the people in governance through representatives elected by the adult population of the country. Okay. So, when a king was ruling, few will like, few won't like, right? People want the protection of their life, freedom and property. See, basically, we need a life, right? We need to protect our freedom, then we need to protect our properties, right? These are the basic reasons to need a constitution. So they started fighting. People started fighting against the king, and at last they got the constitution establishment. Okay. Why did people want that change? Because monarchy. It is only the mindset of the king which will decide how people will live. It is not the people who will decide. So in monarchy, what will happen? The king only will decide how people should live. It is not the people who will decide. So it is the mindset of the king, his thought process which will decide how the people of that country should live. It is not the people. So how will I feel if someone says this is how you should live? I will say I will decide how I will live, right? That is why our constitution is superbly precious, right? So in the year 2007, Nepal adopted an interim constitution, and in the year 2015 they got new constitution also. Okay. Now let us see the differences between the 1990 constitution of Nepal and the 2007 interim constitution of Nepal. Okay, see, in the year 1990 Nepal was a monarchy. Already I have told you what is meant by monarchy. That monarchy is a form of government in which final authority rested with the king, right? Okay, then in 2007 Nepal adopted an interim constitution. In which year Nepal adopted an interim constitution? In the year 2007. And the previous constitution of Nepal, which had been adopted in 1990, reflected the fact that the final authority rested with the king. Yes. According to the interim constitution drafted in 2007, The executive powers of Nepal are in the hands of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. This is the difference between the 1990 and 2007 Nepal's constitution. Okay. See the major differences. The major difference is the executive powers of Nepal are in the hands of whom? With whom? In the hands of Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers have the power. Okay. See, the first purpose of the constitution is the constitution of a country tells its citizens what kind of society they live in. Okay. Now we are going to see the second important purpose of a constitution. The second purpose of a constitution is to define the nature of a country's political system. So what is the second important purpose of a constitution? The second important purpose of a constitution is to define the nature of a country's political system. Okay. See, if it is democracy, how should leaders be elected? People who will govern the entire country, then how will they be elected? That will be decided by the constitution. So, how should leaders be elected? People who will govern the entire country, how will they be elected? Will be decided by whom? By the constitution. Okay, so in our constitution, it will support democracy. So that we have a beautiful common election, right? So that is the constitution defines a country's political system, whether it is a democracy or monarchy. And in a political system, how the leaders be elected and people who will govern the entire country, how will they be elected? For example, in India, election will be conducted through election. Representatives are elected by the people, directly elected by the people, right? They are known as people's representatives, right? So, people will choose who will be their leaders, right? Who will have their powers in the democracy. And however, there is a flip side also. People might misuse their powers, isn't it? See, whenever you give powers to someone, they might misuse powers, right? Isn't it? Yes. Do you think they will misuse their powers or not? Definitely, they will misuse. They might misuse the powers, right? So that constitution also has clear rules if someone is misusing what should be done to them. So, the constitution often lays down rules that guard against this misuse of authority by our political leaders. Okay? So, simply we can say constitution clearly lays down rules that protect people against the misuse of powers by the political leaders. Okay, by the politicians. Okay, already we have read about how the Indian constitution guarantees the right to equality to all persons, right? See, and it says that no citizen can be discriminated against on grounds of religion, race, caste, gender and place of birth. Isn't it? So, the right to equality is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian constitution. So, which one is the fundamental right guaranteed by the constitution? The right to equality is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian constitution. Okay. See, another important function that a constitution plays in a democracy is to ensure that a dominant group does not use its power against other less powerful people or groups. It means majority should not dominate minorities. You know, generally a strong, someone is strong, someone is weak, the strong can always try to dominate the weak, right? But our constitution does not allow it. For example, there are within the society we have different communities, right? Different religions, communities are there. One is a major community and one is a minor community. But our constitution protects all communities in an equal way. The majority cannot dominate minority. Isn't it? Yes. And also the constitution usually contains rules that ensure that minorities are not excluded from anything that is routinely available to the majority. Yes, for example, if we take a primary health care center, their treatment is available for everyone, right? See, hypothetically, if we say if the majority gets treatment, if the minorities are not allowed to take treatment, how it would be? It's wrong, right? Our constitution won't let it. Whatever the majority gets, minority also will get. So that our constitution ensure that minorities are not excluded from anything that is routinely available to the majority. Isn't it? Yes. See, within the same community, there will be rich people and there will be poor people, right? But within the community also, they should be treated equally. So intra-community domination can be avoided because constitution will protect us. Isn't it? Yes. See, the third significant reason why we need a constitution is to save us from ourselves. How? Actually, it is a strange, sounds strange, but what is meant by this is that what might at times feel strongly about an issue that might go against our larger interests, and the constitution helps us guard against this. For example, whenever sensitive issues arise which are against the larger interest of people, if people don't like it, the only savior is the constitution. How? See, people cannot do anything on sensitive issues unless the constitution approves that. See, for example, issues like Ayodhya and all, which are the disputable right? So, constitution comes to picture whenever people feel sensitive issues which are against the interests of people. Only savior is our constitution in those cases, isn't it? Yes. So, the third significant reason why we need a constitution is to save us from ourselves. Especially whenever sensitive issues arise which are against the larger interest of people, in fact people don't like it, that time constitution comes into picture. Whenever people feel sensitive issues which are against the interests of people, constitution will guard us. Constitution helps us guard against this. Okay. Similarly, the constitution makes sure that it is not possible to make certain decisions which can be harmful to the country. For example, with 28 states and 9 union territories, there are several central parties and many regional parties, right? So, sometimes people will think that politics has become a big confusion, so that they may feel the need of a strong dictatorship. Things right, but we may not realize that dictatorship goes against the interest of the people in the long run. But the constitution, a good constitution, does not allow these whims to change its basic structure. Whims means sudden change. Okay. It does not allow for the easy overthrow of provisions that guarantee rights of citizens and protect their freedom. So that a constitution is needed to protect us from ourselves. It guards against taking any decision in haste or whim that might affect the larger interest. Okay. Friend, whim means sudden desire or change of mind. Okay. The third significant reason why we need a constitution is to save us from ourselves. Okay, to save us from ourselves. See, based on this chapter, let me ask you a few questions. Okay, the father of the Indian Constitution dash. Who is known as the father of the Indian Constitution? Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. And the president of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Right? Then the three organs of the state what are the three organs of the state? The country. Legislature, executive and the judiciary. Right? Then the Indian state has a dash form of government. Democratic form of government. India is a democratic country, right? Then the Indian Constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949. But when it came into force on 26 January 1956, isn't it? Yes. See, every state in India enjoys power and works under the dash central government, isn't it? Yes, every state in India, we have 28 states and 9 union territories, right? The 28 states are enjoying power and works under the central government. Okay, fine. Dash means state being equal in all respects. Of course, equality. Yes, equality means state being equal in all respects. All are unequal before the law and irrespective of caste, creed, gender, right? Everyone should get equal respects, right? Then an agreement of all the people on an issue is called consensus, right? Consensus means an agreement of all the people on an issue is called consensus. Okay, dash is the third tier of the government. Panchayat Raj, village Panchayat. Panchayat Raj is the third tier of the government. So, what is that? Central government, state government and village Panchayat. Panchayat Raj. We have three tier system of the government, but Panchayat Raj is the third tier of the government. Okay. Dash was the deputy prime minister of independent India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is also known as the Iron Man of the India, isn't it? Yes. Then he was a prominent member of the Indian Constituent Assembly, isn't it? Yes. Then dash allows citizens to move to the court if their fundamental rights have been violated. Right to constitutional remedies. It is guaranteed by the constitution, right? See, dash is responsible for administering and enforcing laws. Who is responsible for administering the country and enforcing laws? The government, right? So the government is responsible for administering and enforcing laws. Then dash year did the Indian National Congress make the demand for a constituent assembly? In the year 1934. Right, for what purpose did the Indian National Congress make the demand for a constituent assembly? To draft a constitution for independent India, right? Then in 2007, dash country adopted an interim constitution. Of course, Nepal. Why? Because Nepal was a monarchy. Then after 1990, the Nepal's people's movement After that only Nepal adopted an interim constitution and they established a democracy. Okay, so in 2007 Nepal country adopted an interim constitution. Then dash right prohibits human trafficking, forced labor and child labor. See, prohibits, ban. So, okay. See, which right prohibits human trafficking? Right against exploitation. Right prohibits human trafficking. Human trafficking means human trafficking refers to illegal trade in human beings, particularly women and children. Okay. Then forced labor and child labor. You know, the Indian Constitution prohibits children working under 14 years of age, right? Then dash right guarantees equality to every person before law. Right to equality, isn't it? Because everyone is equal before the law. From the president of a country to a common people has to obey the same laws. Okay, they are all and equal before the law. In fact, there are several laws in India that protect every person right to be treated equally. So, right to equality, right guarantees equality to every person before law. Okay, then the constitution is to dash us from ourselves, save us from ourselves. Isn't it? Because whenever sensitive issues arise which are against the larger interest of people, people don't like it, the only savior is the constitution. For example, issues like Ayodhya, right? I explained you already, right? Then Das was the prominent member of the Constituent Assembly. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the prominent member of the Constituent Assembly, isn't it? Yes, and also he is known as the Iron Man of the India, and he is also he was the prominent member of the Constituent Assembly, and he was the Deputy Prime Minister of India, of independent India. Okay. See children, the remaining topics will be discussed in the next video class. Okay. Children, the fill-ups given in worksheet have been discussed in this video. So you may check your answers. Okay. Thank you. Children.